Hi, I'm Brandon, and I have a special guest today. I have Ben Metcalf from 3 Minute Horror Reviews. So thanks for coming on the show, Ben.
You're welcome. And remember, I watch the bad movies so that you don't have to. You're welcome.
We're not talking about any bad movies today, though. Wow, maybe not entirely true.
At least one of them is bad.
we, uh, oh, we, I sense an argument coming because I'm a staunch defender of some of the ones that everyone else hates. But we decided we're going to do a deep dive into the Nightmare on Elm Street series. So we're going to, I'm not exactly sure what format we have. We're just going to start talking about each one, and we'll debate whether or not they're good or what our thoughts are. And by all means, leave a comment and let us know what your thoughts are because this is a hot topic. I've seen some heated discussions over which ones are good and that kind of thing. So I'd be just interested to know what everyone thinks.
I brought notes.
But I'm going straight memory. I've seen them so many times, like I could probably recite them back to
Yeah.
back with like 70% accuracy. All right, so let's launch into it. So the original, 1984. I'm assuming if you're a horror fan, you have to like that movie. It's just impossible not to.
I cannot believe that John Saxon was my age right now when they filmed that movie because he looked like an ancient old man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that always trips me out when I watch some movie with the old man in the movie and then find out he's 4 years younger than me. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. This was
um,
Johnny Depp's first movie role as well, his first on-screen role.
yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
too, like it's Johnny Depp. His first movie was doing the kind of what wasn't really cheap, but it was doing
Yeah.
a slasher type movie. Kevin Bacon, his first movie was the first Friday the
Yeah.
13th. So
Absolutely.
it's almost like they got their opportunity in horror, launched their career, and then after that, almost like they're too good for it, at least for a long
Yeah.
time, and they went into better stuff where it's like,
Well,
hey,
yeah.
you know where you got your start.
The only horror that they did after that was horror with auteur directors like Tim Burton and John Waters, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it is good to look back. Like Johnny Depp is obviously the most famous guy to come out of that movie. When
Yeah.
John Sachs, other people like they appeared and stuff, but most of
Mhm.
them, Heather Langenkamp, are most known for that movie. Johnny Depp,
Yeah.
it's like a Easter egg that hey, do you know he was in that movie? Everyone else, it's like the guy that plays the boyfriend in Nightmare on Elm Street. Like that's what they're known for.
Did you know that Heather Langenkamp and her husband now do special effects for horror movies?
I do
That's
because
what they
I
do.
watched
Yeah.
um, Freddy's or what's it called? New Nightmare.
New
Um,
Nightmare. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that was her husband in real life, but I just read
No, it wasn't.
out that yeah, in the movie her husband does special effects and then so
Yeah.
I read that. But yeah, that's interesting. So what are your thoughts on it? Like how does it stand up after all these years?
Well, I'll tell you, when I reviewed this one initially for Letterboxd a few years ago, when I started doing my movie reviews, I was kind of an edgelord, right? Because everybody, when they start off doing movie reviews, like I'm so cool. I'm doing these movie reviews. I'm a cool guy. I talked about how I loved the Nightmare on Elm Street series when I was a kid, when I was young, but I don't really care for it now. And then I go on to review the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and give them all between 7 and 9. It's ridiculous. So, kind of shot myself in the foot. I really think that number one stands up, particularly. Number, we'll get into it as we go, but all of them with the practical effects that they use are unbelievable and way ahead of their time, especially number one, considering it was like 1984.
Yeah, they had limited it seems like a big budget movie, but I'm sure they had to struggle with what they had to make it work. And also just it wasn't necessarily a money constraint, it was a technological constraint where even if you had unlimited money, it's still impossible to do some things or very hard.
Yeah.
So they still had to work within their means. And if you really wanted to, you could pick it apart. Like you could tell that
Yeah.
the one Freddy, when it switches to the other guy, that the one guy's too short. When his arms are super long in that alley, it looks a bit cheesy.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I would rather have it
Yeah.
look a little bit cheap and cheesy than have it look perfect but be like CGI where it's just
Yeah.
not as effective. It's like they had to work with what they have, and it was the main thing that makes that movie great is just it's pure imagination. Like you could
Hmm.
like a lot of those slasher movies up to that point were a man in a mask using a bladed weapon to kill people.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, they can still be good, but now it's like now he has magical powers and he can do all sorts
Yeah.
of crazy stuff. And it's like,
He's
yeah,
in a
your
dreamscape.
imagination's
He can do
unlimited.
anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I started watching the Cinema Sins
Mhm.
review of Nightmare on Elm Street, and he was picking apart stuff that happened in the dream. He'd be like, "Why is there so much water on the floor?" And I'm like, "Because it's a friggin' nightmare." It's not, I couldn't even watch it. It's like if you can't even suspend your disbelief enough
Yeah,
to believe him, it's like, well, there's no point in watching the movie. Um,
absolutely.
but it's like,
And
yeah,
there's
go ahead.
So I was going to say, and so, there's some really meme-worthy moments too, like some really memorable things that still come up, like the tongue coming out of the telephone business where she's talking on the phone and he does his little thing with his tongue. Um, there's another thing as well. Um, Wes Craven really loves that bathtub scene. So that bathtub scene where he's got the glove coming up like a shark, where Nancy is in the tub and she's fallen asleep, and then the hooked claw comes up almost like a shark's fin. That's a recreation of a scene that he did in a movie called, I gotta look it up here. It's called Deadly Blessing that he did a few years previous. It was actually 1981, and but it was a snake. He had a snake coming through the bathtub where someone was asleep. The young female protagonist was asleep in the tub and he had a snake coming up through the bubbles like that. So he
Oh,
really liked that scene. Yeah.
I wonder if he did that scene, and it could have been that he just loved it so much he wanted to recreate it, or it could be like he was just maybe he wasn't as accomplished, he wasn't as good as a director yet, so he learned a
Yeah.
lot. It's like I kind of blew my shot with that. I want to do it again, but do it better. Because yeah, that is a memorable scene. There's a lot of scenes, like even
Yeah.
Johnny Depp being sucked into the bed. There's things that it's like wow, or the Tina being dragged around the roof and
Yeah.
the walls, and it's like that hasn't really been done anywhere else. And if it has, it's usually copying this movie. So for the time,
Absolutely.
it's like, wow, that's very, I don't think people had seen that before.
Yeah. And I don't want to blow our spot here or anything like that, but there's the Movies That Made Us episode about this movie where they talk about how they accomplished the blood geyser where Johnny Depp's death occurred. And it's really interesting to listen to. It's really interesting to hear how they did that.
Then they basically just had the room upside down and dumped a bunch of blood. Is that how they did it?
They did, and they actually flooded the soundstage at one point in time, and they had a lot of trouble. And yeah, it's really interesting to hear what happened as a result of that and how they got to it. It almost didn't happen. We almost didn't see it.
Oh man. It's like, all right, Wes, grab a mop and start cleaning because you destroyed the studio.
Absolutely. And I gotta say also, that iconic music stinger by Charles Bernstein, that do 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 do
Yeah.
do do, that is something that will live in my memory forever. That's ubiquitous to the series right now. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'd put that like the Halloween tune, that's pretty
Yeah.
popular. The Friday the 13th, the ha ha, or ma ma
Yeah.
ma. Like those are some of those are like sound effects versus like actual melody. But those are definitely like top three, top five at the worst. Like they're the most popular like horror little jingles.
Mhm.
Anyone hears that, they either know exactly where it's from if they've seen the movie or they're creeped out by it because it perfectly fits the vibe of the movie.
Absolutely. And that stinger that's right at the end, like the ending stinger, just when you think that everything's okay. And that arm that just pulls Nancy's mother right back in through the entry window. Incredible. Incredible.
I,
Now, in this day and age, that would have been a post-credit scene, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And in all honesty, if I could cut something, I would get rid of that.
Would you?
It looks pretty ridiculous. It looks like they're pulling a mannequin through.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of amusing.
Because they
I'm
were.
the fact that it's amusing, but it does all of a sudden bring up like, hey, because all the kids are alive again. Did this really happen, or is this a dream? And obviously, at that point, they didn't know if the movie was going to be successful. It could have been
Right.
this is the only one ever made. But I think after they made a bunch, they probably look back and they're like, it's kind of a dumb ending. I That's the one part of the movie I just like, I wish they didn't have that. But
Yeah.
but it's like a small criticism of an otherwise great movie.
It was cool at the time, and they kind of did a nod to it at the end of the 2010 version, but we can talk about that when we get to
Yes.
it.